I've quit so many things in my life. Sports, relationships, and even dreams I thought I'd chase forever. And I always used to think that these events were all independent and that each time I quit or gave up, it was for a different reason. But over the last few months, I came to realize that they all had one thing in common. And when I realized that, it kind of hit me like a train. I kept thinking that I failed because of circumstances, injuries, bad timing, or other priorities that came up. But looking back, I see the truth. The reason why I failed and why I quit was because my why was weak. My will for doing that specific thing was weakened to a point where I gave up. And that sounds pretty obvious and to a degree self-explanatory, but it's a little bit deeper than that. When you analyze every single time why you gave up, it basically just boils down to the reason why you're doing that wasn't strong enough to overcome that specific low point that you were going through. And now, let me give you some more context, because this isn't just some random theory that I thought of. In 2018, I completely fell in love with the gymnastics rings, not a girl. That comes later. I set a wild goal to compete in the Olympics. I got a coach, I trained 4 to 6 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and I was improving. I was getting stronger, and I felt pretty unstoppable. Then in 2021, I got mugged. Just your typical South African things. My car was boxed in, 3 guys surrounded it. A guy from the left tried to smash my window, another from the right, and the guy on the right got through and he stole my phone. But the issue was, I was actually on my way to go and sell my phone so that I could pay for that month's training. So I got out, I chased them down, it turned into a massive fight once I caught up, and long story short, I lost. They got away and I was left there with a shoulder injury. Throughout the remainder of that year, I kept training, I did my rehab, trying to get my shoulder back to where it was. But the pain never really went away. And then one night in 2022, I was swinging on the rings, up from the handstand, going down, and as I came around, I just remember feeling this loud snap and flying all over the place, just holding on with one hand. And then once I jumped off, I realized that my grip had snapped. And physically, I was fine. I wasn't injured any further or anything like that, but mentally, I was done. I remember walking out of the gym that night and just going to sit outside for a bit after that happened, and I just felt so at peace. You know, it was very quiet, but ultimately, I was thinking to myself, who am I kidding? I can't do this. And just like that, I quit. Then following that, people would obviously ask me, oh, Sam, how's it going with the gymnastics? Oh, you know, we don't see you posting on IG as much. What's going on? How's it going? What? And then I'd have to explain to them that I've quit and that I've given up on that. And I'd give all these reasonings as to why I quit. You know, my shoulder was sore, or I had to pick between my career and doing gymnastics because it was taking a lot of time, what. And I would give all these reasons for why and basically just try and make myself feel better about the decision at the end of the day. However, the harsh reality is that I just couldn't persevere through these setbacks. And for 99% of the time in the cases like this, that's the bottom line. You just couldn't persevere through the circumstances that you had to then go ahead and achieve the dreams and the goals that you initially set out for yourself. That's just what it is, if you want to say it in plain English. And I found that it doesn't just apply to sports, but also personal life. Back in 2020, I met this girl and I thought she was the one and that we would get married and, you know, live happy ever after. But I put my career first, I put my training first, and basically I just didn't have the right balance when I was in the relationship. And ultimately, it fell apart and we broke up. Different situation, but same pattern. My why and my willpower to persevere throughout the circumstances we found ourselves in wasn't strong enough for me to bring about change or lead in the right ways to make it work. Every time I quit, it wasn't because I wasn't capable of doing it, but rather that my reason for doing it wasn't strong enough to survive the bad days. And over the past few weeks, since posting my first video, I've really sat with that, and I've looked back at my patterns in sport, in relationships, in everything. And I've just realized this truth about myself, that when my why was weak and I was faced with these tough times, I just found a way out. And in my experience, the most dangerous part to all of this is that once your why or your will for doing something great or trying to achieve something has been broken, the next time you set out to achieve something and you get faced with a setback, it's probably going to be easier for you to find those excuses or find the reasons for you to give up on that. In my case, it was first the gymnastics. That was the first big goal that I ever really set for myself, and that took a knock. And then shortly after that, the relationship that I thought would be the one then took a knock too. And then I found myself becoming complacent in my 9 to 5 and kind of forgetting about this dream and this vision that I had of this business that I've always wanted to start. So with that, I'm starting this new chapter. I know that there's going to be moments that are lower than I expect, and the only thing that's truly going to get me through them is to have the willpower to persevere through the setbacks, the pain, and most importantly, the doubt. Because whether it's chasing for the Olympics, fighting for a relationship, or in this case, building this business, I know that if my why or willpower isn't unbreakable, well then I already know how the story ends.